and welcome to another episode of the Adrienne Ross Show, where sports and culture connect. I ran across a snippet of an interview that Aliyah Boston did on the Got Next podcast with Megan and Zora. And from behind Zora there, I can see that she's a sorority sister, Ski Wee, my soror, Ski Wee, aka Alpha Kappa Alpha. Also found out recently that Asia Wilson is a sorority sister. I didn't know that. So my Ski Wee needs some sharpening. Anyway, some of you know what I'm talking about. Others, you're gonna have to look it up. But anyway, Aliyah Boston did this interview, and what stood out to me is the difference in the way she presented herself. Aliyah is always very well-spoken, but she does not or has not always looked as if she wanted to speak. And so I want to just look at a small portion of this, and then I want to talk about it a little bit, because I think that it screams the new Indiana fever. So I'm over on Krista's page on X. Let's watch.
Let's talk about just I want to be respectful of your time, but like, we have to talk W, and like everywhere you go, you get fever questions at this point.
Absolutely.
Right? She's like, I'm used to it.
I wanted to stop right here because I just think it's interesting. I think there was a time when, if you were having a conversation about a plethora of things, and then someone said, hey, we got to stop right here because we got to talk about the Indiana fever. There would have been a time when the smile wouldn't have been so bright. It wouldn't have been so, okay, great, let's have this conversation, because things were not going so well for the fever. And people came into the post-game press conference, for example, looking like, I don't even know that I want to answer questions. But the smile on her face, as you can see, the readiness to answer the questions. It is a new day for the Indiana fever, and you can see it just on her face.
Let's talk about just all the additions, starting with head coach Stephanie White. And you all have Dwana Bonner, sharpshooter Sophie Cunningham. Just announced Brianna Turner is coming in. How do you think all these pieces will work together with the core that you already have, obviously with Caitlin and Kelsey Mitchell?
Yeah, so I'm super excited, first and foremost, because I think last year we made it so far, and I just know that we have so much potential. And so once again, continuing to put pieces, I'm super excited for it, because I think for Kelsey, Caitlin, and I think we've just been able to develop such a great connection. And so once again, to add pieces like DB, Sophie Cunningham, Natasha Howard, you see the list. This is what we want. This is what we need, that energy, that competitive nature, because we're going to come out here and that's what we want to do. We want to play fast. We want to run, but we want to win games. And so once again, bringing in the pieces that the front office thinks is going to be perfect for us, perfect for our locker room, is exactly what we need.
A few things I want to point out here. She mentioned 3 players by name. Obviously herself, she's one. Well, she didn't say her own name, but she was talking about herself. She's talking about herself. She mentions Kelsey Mitchell. She mentions Caitlin Clark. She says, basically, they've got this connection that we are super excited, to use her expression, super excited that the front office put these pieces around Kelsey Mitchell, Caitlin Clark, and myself, according to Aliyah Boston. The best thing that has happened to this team, second only, I should say, to the whole change in the front office, the whole coaching change. Second to that is the fact that this team has an identity. You know that they have an identity. You hear it in the way they speak. And in this case, you hear it in the way Aliyah Boston speaks. And when I say they have an identity, I'm talking specifically about the 3 players she spoke specifically about. And that's Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, and herself, Aliyah Boston. Make no mistake about it. They understand, those 3, the big 3, if you will, they understand that this team has been built around them, that the pieces she spoke of were assembled around them. Last year, if you remember, early in the season, when she would not have wanted to answer too many questions about the fever, Kelsey Mitchell had said, we don't have an identity. This was early in the season. We don't have an identity yet. They have an identity right now. Sure, they're going to have to mesh. Sure, it's going to be a learning process for the coaches and the players. But have an identity, they're there. They know that this is about, listen, they didn't even mention Lexi Hall. They didn't mention Christy Wallace. They didn't mention Damaris Dantas. Why? This is clearly something that has been spoken to them again and again and again, that you three are the people, you're the team we are building around. So those are the pieces. Now, she said, we trust the front office to bring in the pieces that we need to win and for the locker room. Now, maybe some of the fans aren't so confident, but they have bought in. And that's because the vision was cast. They know who they are, and they know, hey, you three, this is about how we complement you. They have an identity. And so now you see Aliyah Boston, who is speaking with more confidence. She's talking, yep, we want to win. We want to run, absolutely. But, and trust me, the but was not another word for and. The but specifically means but. She's saying we want to run. That's what people want to see. And that is what they're going to see. But you cannot always run. But you cannot always run. Now, some of the pieces they brought in will be able to run. But some of the pieces they brought in to complement them will also be able to score, help them, the big three, be productive in other aspects of the game, including the half court. And yes, running. Yeah, running is a huge part of the identity. Huge. But also to complement that, the pieces have been brought in to play however they need to play. But again, they have an identity. There is a confidence. There is an excitement that they have with where they're headed. They're talking about winning. They're not just talking about surviving. They're not just talking about, let's just see what happens. And of course, there's some of that. They have to see what happens. But the goal and the expectation is to win. And their identity is, we're building around the three of us. We're going to have to work with the others, and we are going to make this happen. And she's super excited about it. And I believe that identity and purpose are extremely important. Hey, I even wrote a book about purpose, Push Your Way to Purpose, how to get from where you are to where you're meant to be. They know that there's a purpose and there's an identity. And because the front office and the coach have made it clear, they can then reiterate, yeah, we are building a bond. We have a bond. We have a connection, and that's going to help us be successful on the court. There's a certain something. It's different. It's different. And dare I say, it's better. It's better. One of the things I want to point out before I let you go, you know that I appreciate every subscriber. If you haven't subscribed, please do. If you haven't liked the video, please like the video. But also I have membership. So you see that join button on the homepage. Click the join button. It'll tell you about the 4 memberships. But I want to make sure that everyone knows I've recently updated the perks for the membership. The members already know this, but I want to make sure everyone else knows. And so we're doing some things the same, some things are different. But one of the things I've not done before that I am going to start doing is there's a perk for the public live stream, but the chat will be for those particular levels of membership that fit into that. So if you ever get into a live stream and you're like, well, how come I can't leave a comment? It's not because you've been banned or anything. It's because that there will be some live streams where just those members will be participating in the chat, still doing other lives, still doing all other stuff. You're not losing anything, but I've just added that as a perk. And then of course the new open mic, which we did the other night publicly. And that is for certain members of the channel. But then I also opened it up for other people. So there'd be times when you maybe have the opportunity also, particularly if those members don't want to come on the open mic. So we had a great time the other live stream. That one was about Breonna Turner. If you didn't see it, people are still watching that, even though they didn't see it live and commenting on it. So you want to check that out. But also, like I said, go click join, see what's there. We are doing weekly live streams for members of the channel, all members of the channel, whatever the level is. And those are on Thursday night. So if you want to be a part of that, make sure you join membership. And it's month to month. So if you don't like it, and why wouldn't you like it? But if you didn't like it, it's not like you're locked in for life or anything like that. All right. So just wanted to point that out to you so you would know you've not been blocked or anything like that. It's just that some chats will be specifically for those members. All right. I said a mouthful. I will catch you next time, God willing. Thank you for everything. God bless you abundantly.